Hi, my name is Joe Miller and I'm an award-winning professional tutor working here at the Profs. In this video, I'm going to run you through some generic quick tips on getting into UCL as an undergraduate student. Before beginning, it's really important to note UCL is a huge university with a lot of different undergraduate courses. And so these really are generic tips that you can apply regardless of the subject that you're applying to. What I would say is, once you've identified the subject you want to apply to at UCL, make sure you head over to our video on getting into that subject specifically, so you can get the tips and advice for your program. Quick tip number one, and I can't quite believe I'm saying this, but don't underestimate UCL. A lot of students, especially those who are most able and applying to places like Oxford, Cambridge, LSE and Imperial, treat UCL as a backup. It will often be their third choice or even fourth choice after Oxbridge, LSE, Imperial. This is a bad idea. To be clear, UCL is one of the most prestigious universities worldwide, even if in London it often is perceived to be lesser than the likes of LSE and Imperial. Last year, for example, QS, perhaps the most reputable university rankings worldwide, put UCL 9th. UCL is regularly ranked top 10 in the world. In fact, its reputation outside of Britain might be as good, if not better, than its reputation within Britain. And so it's really important that you're not doing something foolish like putting UCL as your fourth choice university. This isn't smart, and we've seen before it can lead to some very bad cases. My second tip, and this is targeted specifically at international students who perhaps aren't undertaking the typical pathway qualifications that get you into a British university, like A-levels or the IB. That is, UCL offers international foundation programs. They often call this the undergraduate prep certificate. And essentially, this means that if you come from a country like Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, where British universities do not accept your high school qualifications, you can still apply to UCL. We will attach a link in this video so you can see the list of subjects that they allow you to take on this program. But it's essentially a one-year intensive study program that then allows you to springboard into a UCL degree. A lot of students will also use this 1 year to come into London or to come into the UK to study at a top university, and then they'll transfer to another university in Britain. I would say, having supported now a dozen or more students with their applications onto this foundation program and also tutoring students whilst they're on it, this is a truly unique opportunity to get into one of the world's top 10 universities as per QS last year without having studied the necessary qualifications like A-level or IB. My tip number three, and this means a lot to me as a Londoner, somebody that's lived here almost my entire life. People often perceive UCL as the same type of university as LSE, as King's, as Imperial, because UCL is very close. And that's true. The UCL Bloomsbury campus is just one London Underground stop from LSE and King's Holborn campuses. But UCL is a wholly different university. UCL has perhaps 50,000 or more students in any given year. This is 4 or 5 times more than the number of students at LSE. Your student experience at UCL therefore tends to be quite different. The halls can be quite different, the living experience can be quite different, the socialising, sports and extracurriculars can be quite different. And so I would really stress that if you are thinking of applying to UCL, don't look at it as a substitute to a university like LSE, and make sure you visit the campus before applying. I think it's just really important to stress this. I've had students in the past who perhaps are from boarding school or they're used to being in a tight-knit community at school. And that is akin to the study experience at a place like LSE, but it's really not at UCL. And so I must just re-emphasise, make sure you visit the UCL campus first, understand just how vast it is before you apply. Don't simply assume it's the same experience as a place like LSE. My fourth tip on getting into UCL for an undergraduate programme is make sure that you pick the right subject at UCL on your UCAS application. Like I said before, UCL is not always a student's top choice, but it's really important that you make sure the subject you pick at UCL is aligned to the subjects you're picking elsewhere. And this can be difficult. You've probably seen online that UCL has quite quirky subjects, like, for example, stats, economics and finance, or international management as opposed to straight management. And it can be difficult for a student to understand what they should pair this with in their application to other universities like Oxbridge, LSE, Imperial. So I would just stress, make sure you're picking as close a match, if not an identical match, as possible. This is really, really important. Sometimes you can get away with it. So for example, the course I just mentioned, Stats, Economics and Finance at UCL, you absolutely can pair that with Imperial's Economics, Finance and Data Science course. Similarly, UCL's International Management or Management Science programs can be really nicely paired with LSE's Management program. However, the match is not always a good one. For example, UCL's Management Science program does not match nicely with Oxford's E&M. So I think just really make sure that you are picking the right course at UCL to match those other universities that you're applying to, especially if those others are more competitive a place to get into. I've even heard of cases of students being accepted into a place like Imperial, LSE or Oxbridge, but being rejected by UCL. And that's almost certainly because the course they picked at UCL was just too dissimilar to those that they picked at the other universities. And so the personal statement answers that they wrote were not close enough. And I just think, don't waste your option. Don't waste one of your 5 options on UCL if you're not going to pick a course that is aligned to the others. My 5th and final tip, and if you're somebody that's watched my videos on how to get into specific subjects at universities like UCL, you've probably heard this before, but that is you need to create a unique identity on your application. This is especially important this year because, as you're probably aware, UCAS have changed the personal statement, replacing it with 3 questions. And you can allocate your 4,000 characters in whichever way you wish, and it's really important that you get this right. So please do head over to our video on the UCAS changes to make sure that you know what you're doing this year with the new UCAS personal statement. The way that you create a unique identity is not top-down. You cannot ask ChatGPT for a great identity. You cannot Google a great identity, because a great identity has to be about what you have done yourself. So what you should really do over the Easter or summer break before applying to UCL is start building a supercurricular portfolio of activities. These are subject-specific activities that you've done outside of school. To be clear, this is not an essay that you've done inside of school, or even an EPQ or something that all of your peers at school have also done. This is something that you've done completely on your own. Maybe you've attended a public lecture at UCL. Maybe you've entered an essay competition. Maybe you've done some readings around the subject. Maybe you've looked at UCL's reading list for the course that you're applying and you've completed some of those. Maybe you've shadowed a PhD student at UCL. Something like this that you've done completely on your own, but that is relevant to the subject. My advice is start here with the supercurricular portfolio and then start developing your interest for a specific niche area of the subject based upon this. It's far easier to build your portfolio bottom up and then write your application top down than it is to do this the other way. If you found this video useful, please do like and subscribe. If you have any pressing questions, please leave a comment below and we'll do our best to get back to you quickly. If you or any of your friends want one-to-one support, please do use the information on screen now so that we can find a tutor suitable for you. Otherwise, good luck with your applications.